This podcast is a TOFOP production.
Head to tofop.com for more.
The following episode of TOFOP is rated MA for mature audiences. It may contain sexual references, time travel references, allegations of bin misconduct, and mild coarse language. TOFOP advises that this episode is not suitable for anyone under the age of 15 or anyone who thinks a comedy conversation between two old mates sounds like a terrible idea for a show. Minors must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. This is John Deek speaking.
Everyone relax, this is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. Hello, and thank you for watching.
And as we say many times on this show, although I've said everyone relax, I am not relaxed because our other podcast, Two Guys, One Cup, which we recorded last week, we did an entire episode on our new system on Riverside, which records video and audio, high quality, to our local hard drives and then uploads it so we can use it for whatever medium we want. We got to the end of the episode, everything uploaded, and then your track disappeared. No video, no audio of Wil. It was baffling.
Well, it was even more baffling from my end, Charlie, because I went through absolutely the same procedure as we always go through. So basically, for people at home who wouldn't understand this, but you can see clips of this show on our YouTube channel, but you can actually see full episodes in video if you're a subscriber to our Patreon, patreon.com/TOFOP. And so we try to record it in this system called Riverside. And the trick of it is that even if we don't have great quality between us, if the connection isn't good in the two places we're between, it records it locally so that you're always getting high quality video, high quality audio recorded at your end. All you have to do is make sure that you keep the screen open, the little screen that we've recorded on.
The browser.
You have to keep the browser. You just have to keep that screen open until it's uploaded 100%. And I was in a place that didn't have very good internet, so it was taking a long while to upload, but it was uploading. I would go back in and check in. I'd be like, 34% good. 42% good. Just constantly monitoring to make sure that it was going in the right direction. And then it got to, I think, 66 or 68.
66%. It was exactly 66 because that's the last time the Saints won their one and only flag was 1966. So I'm like, that is a cursed number, clearly.
10% of the number of the beast, 66. Yes. And 10% of the beast that got to. And it just stopped. And I was like, well, it doesn't, that's not a good sign. And I did all the things you do in that situation, which is you check that the rest of your internet is still working. So I logged onto a news page and those sort of things. But the one thing that I know about this system, Charlie, is just don't shut that browser.
Don't shut that
Whatever
browser.
you do, just keep that screen on there, because the minute you shut that browser, then all bets are off. So I'm not shutting this browser. So I message you and say, hey, hang on. Well, we're in communication, around it's not uploading.
Because, so we finished the record. So what happens is you get like a progress bar and it says Wil, 66%, Charlie, whatever percent. And we stopped recording and there was just no progress bar from you. And that's very, very unusual. And then I texted you and you said, oh no, at my end it says 66%. And then what Riverside does, because people do often, close their browsers or leave early, whatever, it sends you a nice passive aggressive message saying, hey, your guest has left early. If you want this recording to be complete, you need to get them to go back and finish their upload. And so
you know what my problem with that was? What? I had not left.
I know.
I was still there. I was right there. I was staring at the screen that said 66%.
I was like the guy, like a couple are breaking up and I'm the one delivering messages from Riverside to you because they're coming to me to say, hey man, your friend, in inverted commas, Wil, has left the conversation early. If you want this thing to upload, your friend Wil needs to get his browser open. So I'm sending that to you and you're sending messages back to me. Well, tell Riverside that my browser is open and it says 66%. So I'm like, oh man, I'm caught in the middle of this thing. So now I'm emailing support and I have no idea where their support, because like all modern businesses, there is no like phone number you can call. It's all just done virtually. There's like a chat window. So I'm messaging wherever in the world to say, hey, this is what's happened. And look, I understand that, sometimes things go wrong, but the speed with which Riverside just did this, oh, well, sorry. I guess we tried everything we could do. And I'm like, hey, not good enough. Like that's not good enough. They're like, well, we guess he just lost it. Why? What did we do?
I didn't lose it. I did. It was right there. I was still looking at it. Like it was literally, it wasn't lost. I was like, here it is. Like I wanted to ring them up and show them my computer. But what I love the most is because they send you so there was a first set of like, something's gone wrong. Here are the set of instructions to see if you can get it. And those set of instructions didn't work. So you went back and they came up with okay, well, just do this. And at step 5 of this, just take a screenshot of what you've got. And I was like, yeah, but step 1 was a thing that didn't work. So I couldn't get to step 5. Like step 1 was push this link and it'll show you where the thing is on your computer. And I pushed that link and the link was doing the equivalent of slapping its hands together and going, no, don't know, mate, can't see it. I'm like, it's here.
I really wanted your screen grab just to be a photo of you just giving your computer the finger, and I would have happily sent that back to Riverside. Oh, you want a screen grab? Screen grab this. Take a look at that.
That was rubbing it in my face when I pushed that link that was meant to identify where on your computer the thing was lost, because it wasn't even a thing that relied on me doing any sort of computer stuff, because I get that as soon as it gets to me having to retrieve something, a lot of what's going wrong is going to be on me. But this wasn't that situation. This was, they have sent through an email. You click this link will find the thing that we're looking for, and then you have to follow these series of steps. Well, I never got to the series of steps because I clicked their fucking link, and their link was like, I don't think you ever recorded anything.
Yeah.
There's certainly nothing here. I've looked everywhere. And I've like, have you looked on the screen in front of my face? Because that's where it is.
Well, that's the other thing too. So what happens in the Riverside studio, and this is like a great endorsement for Riverside, when you're in the Riverside studio, like it gives you little captures of your recording. So the video, just for you to post to socials, hey, here's you and Will, at this point in the podcast, and here's you guys having a laugh here. And so it spits out all these automated things for you to plug in. And so there were you and I, like high quality stills of you and I doing, but no actual recording, no audio, no video. And it's like, well, you've grabbed this from somewhere. So there's something.
Evidence this happened. You provided the evidence that this happened.
Like in the early days of us losing episodes, entirely on us. We'd forget to turn the microphones on. We'd forget to press record even sometimes. The big red flashing button, we would notice that it wasn't on. But this time around, it was like there and then it wasn't. And so, I don't know. I mean, look, you live and you learn, and we did record. We have learned enough over the years to record backups. But can I just ask, can you see your upload status now? Like what percentage are you at? I want to make sure you get over 66 before we hang up.
Well, let's just say this, Charlie. If there were 2 people in your bed and you already had a 66, what would you love to complete that sexy arrangement you were having?
A 9.
A 99.
Oh, 99.
What you'd need. So instead of a 66, I am at the 99.
Wow.
Double nice. The old double nice. 66.99.
6,699. I mean,
nice.
It's hard enough to get your partner to agree to a 69, let alone getting a 6,699 together.
For my birthday, would you be interested in a 6,699?
Or as I like to call it, an open and closed quote.
Would you like to study one of my works of literature? Because
I watched a movie last night, which is a rare treat for me. I very rarely get to sit down and watch a film.
What movie? Let me guess.
Well, let me say,
is it a modern movie or
an actual new movie? Because that's the other thing is generally I'll get to a film. If I get to a film at all, I'll get to it 6 months after everyone's been talking about it. But I started off by watching the football last night, and then I got to much like you last week, I got to the third quarter, and I'm like, I don't need to see any more of this. So I started.
Just for everybody, we have an AFL adjacent football podcast called Two Guys, One Cup. It is on the Listener app, exclusive to Listener app. You can go and have a listen. It's fair to say that both Charlie and my team are really fucking up this season in the most embarrassing ways. So if you want to listen to us grind out the rest of this fucking miserable year, then you can find that in the Listener app.
Oh mate, I am checked out already. It's like, I'm looking forward to the final series, knowing that we won't be involved because there'll be no angst. But I'm like, can we just get these next 2 weeks over and done with? So I think I can enjoy like the 4 weeks of watching good teams play good committed football.
Well, the most Richmondy thing of this year is that Richmond will make the 8 and our 2 teams will come 9th and 10th. The most Richmondy results
of all. So, yeah, I switched that off. But I have not dipped into a Marvel film since probably Endgame. Marvel. And so I was like, let's check out this Multiverse of Madness.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I couldn't get through like half an hour. I thought it was so bad, and I don't know if it's one of these things where I don't know if
What was it that you didn't like about
Well, I don't know if Marvel films have gotten worse or if it's just they have.
Firstly, let's just acknowledge that they have absolutely got worse. Yes,
it just everything about it, just like the charm and the casting of the Phase 1 films, like they seem to just nail it every single time. It was like the Pixar magic formula, but this Doctor Strange, everything about it, I'm like, his wig is so fake. Like Benedict Cumberbatch's wig, it was distractingly fake. And then it was just
I believe that the wig is meant to distract you from his accent, though. Like, I think you're meant to be concentrating on the wig so that you're not so...
Why is it that when English actors do they do this kind of... they have to get a deeper voice. And it's like also, he's protecting this teenager in it and he keeps calling her a kid.
America.
Like he's
America,
Indian.
her name is,
America.
which I did not think was on the nose at all. The kid he was protecting, his name was America.
But I just also, it just looked shit. It wasn't exciting. I didn't find him charming. And then it starts getting into like the multiverse stuff. And I'm like, and I'm a nerd and I dig stuff like this, but I'm like, who fucking cares? It's an alternate Captain America. And now Captain America's Mrs. Captain Britain. And, that's Fantastic Four. Who gives a shit? I don't care. Just give me a story that's interesting. So I did not even make it half an hour. But then I put on the new Predator film, Prey. Have you heard about this?
Hang on, what? There's a new Predator film?
There's a new Predator film, and it's set in like the 1700s, and it's about this Native American teenager who wants to be like a hunter, but like, because she's a woman and stuff, she's meant to, cook and do all that kind of shit. But, she's always hanging out with her older brother and, they go off hunting and they take on the Predator. And it's fucking awesome. It is such a good film. The only thing that I think would have made it better is they do it like they're speaking English. But I read about afterwards, there's a version you can watch where they speak in their, I think it's Comanches, their native tongue. And I'm like, I wish I'd seen, that's the first way I watched it, where they just done it like in the native tongue, because it is awesome. It is like such a good Predator film. And it's just, they've been trying to sort of capture that, what the original one and what made the original one so great. And the thing that makes the original film so great is it's really subversion on the slasher film. Like Arnie and all his mates, they start off as like these brawny, muscle-bound guys with huge guns, and then they become the kind of trope of the girl being hunted by Mike Myers. By the end of the film, they're getting killed off and their guns don't mean anything. So this one, they start off with that final girl trope, and so she doesn't have any of the weaponry. So it's just more about how the hell is this girl going to overcome, like with no modern weaponry, with nothing, how is she going to overcome the Predator? And it's awesome. It is such a good film. It is so much fun. And you know what's great about it, Will? 90 minutes long, probably 80 minutes with credits, but like you could watch it in one sitting. There's no fat on it. You don't get bored. They're not doing any fucking fan service. They're not doing this. Because that's the other thing too. I saw Top Gun last week for my birthday. That was a special treat. And I know people love that film. I did not love that film. And I think there's something wrong with me. I think I'm broken. But then I see Predator and I realize the difference is like Top Gun, I understand technically well made and stuff, but I'm just over fan service. I'm over referencing older films. And oh my God, that's the line from the original film. There's Val Kilmer. Look, his son is wearing the same shirt that Ghoost. Like there's all this shit through it that it's like, I don't give a fuck. They do one line in the new Predator film, which is if we bleed, we can kill it. I'm like, okay, I mean, I get it. You have to do it. But that is it. The rest of it, it's just completely new, or at least a new take on the same thing.
So I haven't seen Top Gun, and I keep hearing people talk about how good it is, but I feel like I'm going to be a bit like you in that.
Yeah.
I'm not. I feel like the fan service stuff will annoy me, and B, I don't think I have enough affection for the original film that I will enjoy. Like, it's actually not serving me. I'm not enough of a fan for the fan service to be of service to me.
Well, I think, like, it's because I went and saw it with VK, and we were both excited to see it. And look, I like the first one, but I'm probably like you. I don't know it off by heart. But you know enough of it. Like, there's enough iconic kind of scenes, and
yeah.
But it almost
feels
like,
the need for speed.
Yeah, but it almost feels like a spoof. It is so slavishly, dedicated to the original, like music cues and everything like that. You sort of like, hang on, what are they doing? Like a remake? And then there's some just bizarre character choices, which I guess make people happy as an audience member. But if you think about it logically for a second, makes the character insane. So like Maverick, in the 30 or 40 years since the first film, has not progressed as an individual, like has not grown, still wears the same clothes. Like if you knew someone like that in 40 years was still wearing the same bomber jacket and riding the same motorbike, like wouldn't you be like, fuck, this dude is like, he's stunted. Like he has an inability, like he's having a midlife crisis. He has not got over his 20s. He still dresses and acts like he did in his 20s.
And do they not explore that though? They don't explore any.
It's just accepted.
Of that
Maverick. He's just Maverick. He's just like the name says it all. He's a Maverick.
But it's kind of the least Maverick thing to do. Like stay
exactly the same.
Say exactly the same. He's a real Maverick in the way that he hasn't changed in any way.
I always think of that line in The Wedding Singer where Adam Sandler has that best friend with a mustache who's like the womanizer and stuff, and he wants to be Fonzie. And then at the end of the film, his friend confesses, look, you know what happened to Fonzie? He got old. No one wants to watch a TV show about a 40-year-old guy hitting on chicks. And that's exactly what Maverick is in the new Top Gun. It's like, you're almost 60. Why are you still wearing that bomber jacket and riding a motorbike and acting like, this kind of roguish kind of charming dude who can't get, like, if you couldn't get your shit together in 40 years, it's on you. Like, it doesn't make you some like interesting rebel who plays by his own rules. Like, I think that works when you're in your 20s. But when you're 60, it's like, this fucking guy's a basket case.
He never developed at all. He never grew. Like, the one thing that's essential to human beings is going on some sort of journey of growth and discovery.
But they make that his kind of strength. Like, that's the thing that makes him, they have to, there's a suicide mission and he gets asked to come in and, lead this group of new young fighter pilots. But the other thing about it, and, this is sort of minor spoilers, but I think from the trailers you can get it. So who's the dude from Whiplash? Miles Teller. He plays the son of Goose, which is fine. Conceptually, from a plot point of view, all right, so there's some emotional kind of stakes now. Like one of the students he's teaching is Goose, and, Maverick feels responsible for the death of this guy's father. And so there's tension.
I would have preferred if, Maverick was visited by the ghost of Goose.
Well, didn't we pitch The Evil Goose Arises? That was that Goose never died?
I like the idea of the ghost of Ghoost. The Ghoost. Like he has this Ghoost appears and speaks to him. You've got to change, Maverick. You've got to change.
Oh, I like the idea of a remake of Ghost with just an all Goose cast and just call it Ghoost. So you got Miles Teller playing son of Ghoost, son of Goose. But here's the thing: they dress him and style him exactly like his dad. So he's got a mustache like his dad. He wears open Hawaiian shirts like his dad. He wears exactly the same aviator shades as his dad. And there's even a scene, and again, minor spoilers, even a scene in which Maverick is like, "Oh my God, that's the son of Goose. I don't know if I can talk to him." And son of Goose sits down at a piano at the bar and starts playing Great Balls of Fire.
Okay.
And once again, I'm like, I do not know anyone who dresses exactly like their father and like has the same party tricks as their dad. Like, to me, that's almost as weird as having not changed your personality in 40 years like Maverick.
To style your entire being on your
dead father. Who you barely knew, by the way. You're only like 3 or 4 when he died.
All you know is like 5 iconic moments from his life. That he was like a pilot. That he knew Great Balls of Fire on the piano. He loved Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, that's like, this is a movie that needs a therapist. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well,
a lot of people hear.
VK turned to me at one point and is like, is this a parody? Like, it feels like a parody of the original Top Gun. It all felt like a Hot Shots movie in a way. Like, there was so many kind of coincidences and like the fan service and stuff. And everyone's sort of like, oh, yeah, but, you know, what about the flying sequences? Yeah, I mean, like, if you had not told me that the actors went up there for real and stuff, I would have been quite content to think they were in a studio somewhere in front of a green screen in like a cockpit. Like, I don't think it added that much to the film that, like, because essentially the camera is still locked off in one position. All you're getting, the only difference between this and the film from 87 is the actors' faces do this when they hit real G-forces, which to me, I'm like, okay, I guess that's cool, but it doesn't make me go, wow, like these flying sequences are so much better because an actor's face is going like that.
I mean, you mostly just have to watch award shows in Hollywood to see actors' faces go like that. So
Yeah,
you're right,
totally.
absolutely. Don't need to see Top Gun. Do you think, so how old was Son of Goose? Like, was
like late 20s is meant to be, I think.
Yeah, so how old was he then when Goose died? Was he just
that
like a
makes
baby?
sense.
Was
You're
like
right.
Meg
I don't
Ryan
know if the
pregnant?
timing works out.
Like, what's the timeline on that?
Well, hang on. So when was the original Top Gun made?
Because how long later? Like, did they have a baby in the original?
Yeah.
Well,
So because they do
did.
they do a flashback where you see. Okay, so Top Gun was made in 1986. So what does that make that? 26 years old. 36 years old.
Yeah.
So, or maybe he's in his 30s then. I like. Let's be generous. Let's say that Son of Goose was 6 when Goose died, and he's 30 now. I reckon.
Now, I don't mean
that.
that. You know that I don't mean this in an insensitive way. If you think that if your dad had died when you were 6, do you think that there was any possibility that you might have stalled your life on what you knew about your dad? Like
my dad died when I was 10. You know,
yeah. So
and
it's not
plenty.
like,
It's not miles off.
No.
It's plenty of references. I have. He was a dentist. He had a mustache. He liked to wear sweater vests. He liked a good cardigan. He smoked a pipe occasionally. I'd say apart from the mustache, which I only very rarely dip into, there's nothing I have styled my life on about my father. And I certainly haven't played Great Balls of Fire. Like, I don't remember my father. He wasn't really that musical, but I remember him dancing to the Village People once, putting on a Village People record and dancing around, but I have not done that. I mean, it seems like I think there would be, if you had a friend.
okay, so yeah, if your friends, if you started doing that, like if around 10, like, yeah, because, you know, I mean, that's still a very young age to lose your father. And like, you know, all sorts of behaviors can manifest around that. And I'm sure people will be incredibly sensitive around how like a kid wants to remember, you know, their parent that they've just lost. So you start doing a few things. You start wearing a knitted top, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start
I've got like one of those dentist kind of like surgical kind of smock things.
You just start looking at people's teeth, asking them to open their mouth, that sort of thing.
Little pipe, walking around, 10-year-old going around with a pipe.
Pipes, like
yeah.
little, like, how long do you think your family would have indulged that? Do you think they would have been supportive of that? Would they have just been like, oh, well, that's just Charlie processing what's going on?
I think any family would be supportive of it, but there would also be a question of, is this healthy?
Right.
Like,
so what point?
Is this a phase? Yeah, that's right.
What point does it get to? Because then suddenly you decide, I'm going to be a dentist. Like, I'm just following now the Son of Goose story, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not just him learning great balls of fire on the piano so he can remember his dad. This is literally him going, I am going to replicate the entire life of my father.
He wears open Hawaiian shirts. He has the same aviator shades and the same mustache. I mean, Miles Teller does look like Anthony Edwards when you put him side by side, but it is strange. Like fashion, I don't even know that the fashion like is predictable enough that like there must have been a period in the early 2000s where he wasn't dressing like his dad, right? Where he would have been all pocket chains and fucking like caramel tips and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think that he dressed as his dad as a teenager? Like,
I don't know. I mean, because
dress-
that's what I'm saying is like it sort of times out now with fashion because the 80s, you could argue mustaches are back. But what was he doing prior to that? Like, did he sort of sit, did Son of Ghoost just sit there and go like, mate, when mustaches and aviator shades are back, I'm owning it. I've been practicing Great Balls of Fire for 20 years, finally going to bust it out at a bar.
Or did he? So there's two choices here: that he's like leaned into his dad's later life look and always kind of had that fashion choice. So as soon as he could grow a mustache, he grew a mustache. As soon as he could own a Hawaiian shirt, he bought a Hawaiian shirt. Or he's following his dad's fashions from those periods of his dad's life. So he's gone back through like what a teenage Goose was wearing. And so when he was a teenager, he wore what a teenage Goose was wearing. And we've just caught up with him at the time that he's wearing and looking exactly the same as his. I mean, this is a creepy fucking
It's
like. I mean, so
it's creepy.
and is that discussed at all in the movie? Is there
It's
ever
not
a point
discussed.
of going, "Hey, man, live your own life. Stop being in the shadow of your dead dad"? Is there like a storyline a bit around that at all?
There is one moment where, so the kids, all the new young Top Gun recruits, they're all in the classroom, whatever, and they're looking at the trophy cabinet and they see a collection of photos of the original flight team. So there's Mav and Goose, and they put two and two together, but not one character goes, "Oh my God, look at." Oh, sorry, Goose's son's name is Rooster, by the way. His code name, his flight. What do you call it? Code name? Call sign.
I mean, I feel like that's too far
Rooster.
away for a guy who's stole his entire. It should be Goose.
It should have been Gosling. No, it should have been Gosling. Ryan Gosling, and they should have cast Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
But there is that moment where they look at Anthony Edwards as Goose
How
standing
did
next
they
to
not
Maverick.
cast Ryan Gosling as the son of Goose? Like, how did Hollywood? Surely that had to have come up in a meeting. Just like, guys, is this too on the nose? Ryan Gosling, son of a Goose.
So they do see them together, but you'd expect one character to go, "Holy shit, like he looks..." I mean, I was round at my mate's place last week and I saw a photo of him with his father, when he was a little boy. And the first thing I said was, "Oh my God, like you look exactly like your father. It's amazing." But not one character comments on the fact that not only does he physically look like his father, but he dresses exactly the same as his father.
Exactly the same.
I mean, if you had to dress now like your dad did 30 years ago, what would you be wearing, you think?
My dad almost exclusively has work clothes.
Okay.
So, like, I've never really, I mean, he has the smallest amount of, like, what you'd consider to be, like, formal clothes or uniform clothes, like, really the bare minimum you could possibly have. I think I've only seen him in a tie a couple of times in his entire life. I mean, he's a dairy farmer, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, the most iconic thing that I would see him in if I was going to dress like, particularly in the sort of Goose way, if I was going to dress like my dad, pair of gumboots. So I'm starting.
Oh, God, this should be your new stage outfit. Go on.
A pair of gumboots, some sort of like resilient, loose fitting, partly waterproof pant, like that is
Like waiters.
kind of waders-esque, but not like quite as plasticky, but like somewhere in between like work pants and waders, like a kind of midpoint. For any sort of like water splash or animal splash that you might need, then very much a loose fitting collared t-shirt. So one of those old school sort of like collared t-shirts that has a couple of buttons, a polo,
Like a polo
type thing, but very much like not a formal sort of polo top, very much a working polo top.
Yeah,
and,
not like a Ralph Lauren one. No, like a Ralph Lauren or polo symbol on the pocket or anything. It's not like a pink, one of those pink Tommy Hilfiger.
No, very much.
Your dad's not rocking Tommy Hilfiger.
Very much
polos.
for working, and then maybe like a knitted jumper.
Yeah,
like an actual knitted jumper. Yeah.
I was trying to think of so my dad would have his kind of work clothes before, like not his surgical stuff, but I remember when I did work experience when I was 16, because we still had a lot of dad's wardrobe hanging around. And I had to find a suit because I think I was going to a law firm to do some work experience. And I found the only suit I could find that fit me, suit jacket, was like this tweed. It was like a tweed jacket with kind of like brown elbow patches, like classic English professor kind of look. I remember getting on the train and my mates just mocking me mercilessly because I was like a 16-year-old in like what would have been a 50 guy in his mid-50s, like a tweed jacket. So there'd be that kind of more formal look. But then, yeah, he was often in kind of chunky knit sweaters with grey trousers and like just the cheapest Clark's leather shoes. So if I was going to be my dad now, and I'm probably about 10 years off where my dad was when I passed away, I would be wearing the chunky knit sweaters, grey trousers, and then just some no-name brand Clark's leather loafers. I'm actually thinking, I don't mind that look. It seems comfortable.
I mean, my dad's like dressing like my dad would have been handy going to Splendor in the Grass.
Yes.
Like it would have been a very practical, for that sort of circumstance. But my dad doesn't have any affectations in the way that so no pipe or whatever or mustache, that you can kind of go, oh, this is definitely him leaning into this look. Like if I had to replicate my dad's look, mostly I'd probably have to like shave off my hair because my dad now is at that point where he like had, the receding hair and he's gone kind of like the buzz cut up top. So that would be the direction I would have to lean into to kind of replicate.
But the thing of what Top Gun is saying is like, it's like a specific period. Like it's whenever your father made the biggest impression on you.
Oh, that's true. Because it's like, it's different for me because my dad's still alive. He didn't die at some point and get immortalized in my memory. You know what it would be probably then? I'd probably dress in cricket clothes. Like if my dad had died when I was about 10, I would probably entirely dress in cricket whites because that would be the iconic memory. Like, the memory I have of my dad, like I don't really acknowledge the kind of farming look to be his look, but I remember spending weekends watching him play cricket. So I think, if he died at like age 10, I probably would have just walked around in cricket pads and a helmet at all times, just going, no, I'm cool. Just trying to remember Dad.
You know what's actually interesting when you see Top Gun at the cinema like I did is seeing Tom Cruise's face on the big screen. It's like, fuck, he's got a good plastic surgeon. Like, I know those photos came out a few months ago of him looking a bit puffy, having had a procedure, but now it's all settled in. And he looks good because he looks, age appropriate. He doesn't quite look like, if you imagine what 60 or almost 60 looks like, he doesn't look like that.
No.
But he looks like the best possible version of what a 60 could look like. I mean, his hair is still way too dark for someone in there, who's almost 60. But he's just got enough kind of imperfections that you're like, oh man, like, I don't know if Scientology, if this is part of Scientology, one of the tenets is, hey, get surgery, but just get it in small enough amounts that progressively people won't notice as much that you've had work done because he's on his face is 40 feet wide in a lot of these shots and he's playing opposite Jennifer Connelly, who I imagine is 15, 20 years younger than him, probably closer to my age. And they look like it looks good. Like it looks like a good pair. I mean, she, by the way, hats off, like, well done, Jennifer Connelly's parents. Like she looks her age and she is stunning. Like just looks like a complete movie star, but is in the most thankless role. Like someone of her quality, I think she's won an Oscar, at least been nominated for Oscars. She's
a really, really good actress. Like
incredibly so to be playing Maverick's
really good actress.
Maverick's new love interest. It's like it's a pretty thankless part, but she's good. But it's interesting to see that Tom Cruise is now dipping his toe back into, I'm going to kiss girls on screen again because it's been like.
I was about to say, do they kiss?
They kiss. There's almost a love scene, and it's weird. And I got the same kind of awkwardness you get when you watch a sex scene you're watching a movie with your parents. Like even though they weren't there, it was just this all feels a bit gross. And they stop short of like there's no like love making, but it's just just sort of crossfades and kissing and they're naked from the shoulders up. It's more suggested sex scene. But
is this a controversial suggestion? And maybe this is just me getting older, or maybe I think it isn't. I feel like we're done with sex scenes in movies.
Well, now that you can see the real thing.
Now that, that's what I mean. Like now that like pornography and stuff is so readily available, like we all get it. We kind of like, I don't need to see it. I don't know
Yeah.
what value it adds. Like, shut the bedroom door. They can both have a little pash. They can shut the bedroom door and we can all use our imagination of what's going on. Like, I just don't feel like you have to waste like a minute and a half of running time showing me a sex scene.
I feel that, but I feel that way about nudity as well. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, you see so much nudity willingly put on someone's like social media account that, like, 20 years ago it was a big deal that Halle Berry is going topless in Swordfish. They've paid her an extra $1 million. You're going to see her boobs, and now it's like, who cares? Like, I mean, there's so much. If you want to see boobs, you can see boobs. It doesn't matter. Let's just focus on the bizarre storytelling that we're doing here. Let's put all our resources in trying to justify why some 30-year-old would dress exactly like his dead dad. Because I couldn't get past it. It just did not allow. I mean, I'll suspend disbelief in whatever way you want. Sure, he's still an amazing fighter pilot. There's still some faceless enemy. Why the fuck is this guy dressing exactly like his dad?
Totally fine if your kid said to you, I want to follow in my dad's footsteps. My brother is a farmer. Like, my dad's a farmer. That's okay. Like, I totally understand that. But if my brother started dressing exactly the same as my dad, like, I would just be like, hey, man, is everything cool? Are you fine?
That's exactly right. It doesn't make any sense. But look, that aside, it was a waste of time. I don't know. I feel like the way people have. I mean, I think it's his most successful film, and the way people were talking about it.
It's like, I think it's one of the, like, it's going to be one of the most successful films of all time.
That is, I find that baffling, and I feel like I'm a man out of touch, because if a film like that is getting like, making all this money and all this acclaim, and then I watch something like the new Predator film, I'm like, oh, this is an interesting way to take I think Fury Road is the perfect example. Let's take an established IP with an established franchise, and we're just going to do it differently. We're going to take a new view on it. Okay, how about this? How about Mad Max is suffering PTSD, and he actually, the star of the film is actually this woman trying to save these women from sexual slavery. Oh yeah, cool. And it's not going to be desaturated, set in Broken Hill. It's going to be like saturated colors, bright tones, and we're just going to load it with it. Okay, great. Or Predator, sure. Let's get away from the idea of brawny dudes in the jungle, and we just set it in a completely different. Like, yes, do that. Okay. And then,
but I'll acknowledge
one or two fan services, but just
I've got an idea for you though, Charlie. What if we find out that Mad Max has a kid, and his kid dresses exactly like Mad Max? How about that for a movie?
So it turns out that, all right, so there's a son of Max. So at what point does he start dressing like at what point did did Rooster, son of Goose, start going, I'm going to dress like my dad? Because it would have looked, he's dressing like his dad because he's the same age as his dad when his dad died. Right. So can son of Max only start wearing the knee brace and the leathers when he gets to roughly 24, 25, when the first Mad Max film, how old he is in the first? No, he can do it at any time from the age of 10.
I'm going to say he starts doing it for dress-ups, like when you start doing dress-ups. So what age do you start, like you're a father, what age would you start doing dress-ups that are based on like another character?
Well, okay, think about this. You often see professional athletes, their kids will come to games and they'll be dressed like their mother.
Oh, yeah, they'll put them in there like they're like the jumper, and it might say daddy on the back and the number.
Or mum,
right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I reckon you could do it as early as you like. Now, what we're assuming there is that Mad Max's leathers are his work uniform.
Yeah.
Which kind of it is, because he started off as a cop, and those cops wore all leather because they were high pursuit police. So, yeah, I think you could kind of do that. Do cops dress their kids like little cops?
Little cops.
That sounds very fascist. There's something about it. I don't know why, but I immediately think this is horrible dystopian fascism.
You keep your eye on those other kids as well, while you're at the party.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to send you in with a wire. We're putting a wire on you. I want to find out what these other kids are up to.
Yeah, how many kids are dealing with fizz? Yeah, I mean, I guess... so
hang on. So what's the Predator movie called? So I want to check it out.
Prey. It's on Disney+.
Did they get MC Hammer to do the theme song?
Oh, my God. Good call. Because we pray. Pray. Oh, yeah, we pray. Pray. We got to pray just to make it today.
You don't even have to change the lyrics.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. You've got me I have to look that up. Pray. Now, what single was that? MC Hammer.
Well,
Do you reckon that was off his... Was it the first or second album?
Hammer Don't Hurt Me? Is that what the album was called? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, Hammer Don't Hurt Him.
Hammer Don't Hurt Him. That's right. Sorry, yes.
Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, Pray, the MC Hammer song. This is from Wikipedia. Oh, you're right. It's from the first album. I thought it was the second. Pray is the third single released from MC Hammer's third album, Hammered. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. I forgot about the please. Really? Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
Please, Hammer, please. Now, by the way, good example, just before we get into the dive into Pray by MC Hammer. Yeah. If MC Hammer has a kid, like a little Hammer, and little he Hammer. Like, you know, he like calls himself
Ballpoint.
MC Ballpoint.
Ballpoint Hammer.
Like in little baggy pants, just like his dad. Like eventually somebody would step in, surely.
Well, kids generally do dress in baggy pants. They are sort of like a bit roomier for nappies and stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if MC Hammer. Okay, so where do you think this peaked? What number do you think it got to?
Well, so You Can't Touch This would have got to number one, and you're saying this is the third single. What was the second single? That's the thing that because I would have thought this was the second single, so I can't remember what else he.
Well, let's see what the second single was. Yeah. Well, I got to number two.
I'm going to say. I was going to say number 4. Sorry. So there you go.
Number 2. Yeah. It's sold over 500,000 copies. It's one of his most popular songs and appears in several compilation albums. It was produced by Hammer himself.
Okay.
It samples When Doves Cry. I didn't know that. It's one of the few times Prince has ever allowed his songs to be sampled. I guess that and then Quentin Tarver all those years later, right? Mm-hmm. It also what's this word? Interpolates? What does that mean? The track also interpolates? What does that mean? It interpolates Faith No More's We Care a Lot. We care a lot. I would not have picked that.
That's okay, what we pray. Let's see. We care a lot.
All right, so this is a Hammer Don't Hurt Him. So where's the track listing? Okay, so You Can't Touch This number 2. Here Comes the Hammer. Here Comes the Hammer. Oh. I can't see. The 3 singles were Pray, Here Comes the Hammer, and You Can't Touch This. So I guess Here Comes the Hammer must have been the other one.
Yeah, right. I only really remember You Can't Touch This and Pray. I've got to say, I can't really remember Here Comes the Hammer.
And from I know from Addams Family Values, I know the Addams Family song. Too legit to quit. Too legit to quit. So what were the lyrics for Pray? Let's see. Pray lyrics. I remember there was a girl getting shot in the lyrics because he says, girl gets shot, watch out. What's it all about? Okay. That word, we pray, we've got to pray just to make it today. I said, we pray. Yeah, we pray just to make it today. All my life, I wanted to make it to the top. That's word, we pray. Some said I wouldn't. They told me, but I didn't stop. Now, we know about that because he can't stop.
Can't stop.
You can't touch it.
Impossible for him to stop.
I'm working hard to make those movies every day. And on my knees every night, I pray. Because I think he became a preacher after his music career ended. That's the word. We pray just to make it today. Now, I just think that you can do whatever you want.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm busting these rhymes, making this money, and I won't forget my people or my town or my ways. I'm on my knees every night. I'm still going to pray. It's funny because there's a real strong capitalist message right in the middle about making heaps of money, which I think is counter to what a lot of Jesus preached, right?
Yeah, but no, he was ahead of his time. This is very much the Hillsong prosperity doctrine, kind of attitude that if you are rich in life, it's because you've been rewarded by the Lord.
I think you see Brian Houston dancing in the back of You Can't Touch This thing. That's one of the guys going.
Oh man, Brian Houston's dad needed to be told you can't touch this. Anyway,
time and time again, I keep on knocking, but these people wouldn't let me in. I tried and tried, and I tried to make a way, but nothing happened until the day I prayed. I wonder if this feels very Christian now.
What
That's a
is?
word.
He's saying, I've got all this success because, because of the Lord. This is my dedication to the Lord.
Okay, this is a good verse. Children dying. Oh, so fast from this or that. We can get a bit more specific, Hammer.
People do. Kids are dying from this or that. From this or that.
They're needing money, smoking that dope and doing that crack. 10 years old, stand outside. Oh, this is the lyric I could remember. 10 years old, stand outside, better look out. Dead and gone, never had a chance. What's it all about?
Oh.
Well, wow. I guess it's this and that, Hammer. I mean, if you really want to get to the bottom of it, it's about this and that.
That 10-year-old died because of this or that.
And then he repeats, there's 3 repetitions of the chorus, and then it goes, on a mission. Start to doubt, here we go. Kicking back, read those words we need to know. Living high, living good, living long. Take a minute, bust a prayer. And you're good to go. I've never heard of anyone saying, oh, sorry, I'll just give me 5 minutes. I need to go bust a prayer. We're sending this one out to the Lord, and we thank you. We know we need to pray because all the blessings that is good come from above. And once again, we want to say thank you to the Lord with all of our love. That's a word we pray. God, I had no idea it was so Jesus-y.
Stop it.
It's really, it's kind of gross. We're doing a short episode because we have stuff to do today. So let's just get to our mailbag. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. You can go to tofop.com. There's a little contact form. You can choose which podcast you want to send a message to. And while you're there, you can check out some of our other great podcasts. Who's on FOFOP this week, Will?
Hamo. It is a Justin Hamilton
Speaking
episode.
of hammers.
Yes, MC Hamo. He's on the show. He was meant to be, timeline wise, we're recording this on a Sunday morning. I'm recording my Zoological show tonight. I'm doing it for the very last time, and Justin was going to be doing support. But when we recorded the FOFOP earlier this week, he was not feeling particularly well, and so he's doing the right thing. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter that I'm saying he won't be at the show because by the time you hear this, the people at the show will already know that he will not have been at the show. But we recorded FOFOP a few days ago, and obviously when we recorded it, we did not know that he was not going to be at the show and made quite a lot of jokes about the idea that he was going to miss the show because of anyway. So it turns out he is going to miss the show, and you'll get to hear that episode this week.
And as Will mentioned earlier in the show, we have another podcast called Two Guys, One Cup, which is exclusive to the Listener app. It's fun. It's been a really good year. Despite Will and I hating talking about football, there's a lot of good stuff. It's like this. It's pretty much this. If you enjoy TOFOP, it's TOFOP. We just talk about plays that you probably haven't heard about, but it doesn't matter at all. This is from Aiden. He says, "Hi guys, I'm a zoologist." I mean, it's kind of that's kind of scientific, right? No. You're Will shaking his head. No, we're not giving a round of applause to a zoologist. He keeps them.
I mean, he keeps them living. I mean, he keeps animals living, I suppose. Does
he? What does a zoologist do? Studies animals?
I mean, I assume a zoologist is... I assume they like...
Okay. So say it's a post-apocalyptic situation and me, you and Aiden living in a room somewhere and one of us gets sick and we have to perform a medical procedure. Aiden has the closest qualifications to being a doctor, right? He studied something more scientific than you and I.
I mean, yes, that's true. If the only choices are the three of us, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, I've never studied even animal anatomy. It's not what I do. Doesn't matter. We'll need to bypass. Hi, guys. I'm a zoologist. I'm here to try and spark your imagination with some real-life cryptids of sorts. While Nessie and Bigfoot do not exist, I can confirm that cryptic animals do everywhere in the world, even in Australia. First, there's the night parrot. This nocturnal fat budgie-looking dude has been captured by cameras and researchers only recently, being considered extinct for almost 100 years. But they're yet to map out its population range. We know it lives up in the Kimberley and other areas of northern Australia, and the hunt is on in the zoology world to learn all about it. Because of its rarity, it is highly conservation significant, which is often the case with these type of species, We also have the blind cave eel, which is an eel living almost entirely in subterranean environments in Western Australia, making it very difficult to find. I, myself, am a subterranean zoologist. Can you do a triple bypass? Because Will's having a heart attack. It's a good number of the species. So a good number of the species I find are undiscovered when I find them. One of the most interesting, though...
Some might argue that they prefer to be left alone.
Yeah. Why
are we going and bothering these species that have clearly gone to a great deal of effort to bury themselves so we can't find them?
One of the most interesting is the saola, or the Asian unicorn, which is a bovine that lives in Vietnam.
Wow.
We have 1 or 2 pieces of camera footage of it and many skull mounts in the local Vietnamese homes. Other than that, its life is a complete mystery.
Okay.
So while these things may not be as big as fantastical like the Loch Ness Monster, they are important for conservation, and in the case of the saola, are culturally important and actually exist, which is a bit of a bonus. So there's, Aiden slapping down my need to believe in fantastic animals by saying, there's cool stuff in the real world, Will. That's the message I'm getting.
I mean, that is actually the message. There is so much cool stuff in the real world that we continually absolutely kill off with our human endeavors and behavior. So maybe we should concentrate a little bit more on that.
This is from Laura. Hi, my name's Laura. I live in Sydney. A first-time listener, long-time listener, first-time messenger. It would be weird if she was a first-time listener.
First-time listener?
Just compelled to write in straight away.
I've discovered your website and I've been writing in for months. I finally listened to an episode.
Emailing you for years before I listened to an episode. It's weird. I wanted to thank you guys for all the laughs. Will, my partner and I saw your Willogical show last night on the 28th of July at the Sydney Comedy Store, and it was fantastic. My partner really enjoyed the part where you smacked the microphone around with your face just to see if you could, but you wouldn't. Explain.
Well, no, okay. Oh, well, yeah, actually, I can explain now. And that was absolutely brand new on that night. I've never done it before. And it'll be interesting to see that. I have a bit in the show, which I guess I can just say now because by the time no one's. Anyway. So it's about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said on his podcast that he could suck his own dick if he wanted to.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't surprise me.
He said he was flexible enough to suck his own dick if he wanted to. And I have this whole piece that is about Joe Rogan and misinformation, but it ends in the conceit of like, I don't know if Joe Rogan's a liar, but he said that he could suck his own dick, but he hasn't done it. And then the whole piece is about, because he says, like one of the quotes is, I put my face around it just to see if I could. And I, for the very first time, despite the fact that I've been doing that routine now for 3 months, acted that out for about 4 minutes. It was fun. So I don't know whether I will have done that in the show tonight that I'm recording. And if I did do it in the show tonight that I'm recording, whether anyone would ever play that. But
there is a rumor that you had one of your ribs removed so you could do stand-up. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. And that's just so I can nod.
Thank you both, but especially thank you, Charlie, for all his research in presenting his 5 deep for dive. 5 have been a long-standing part of my life. Get On Moving was my Year 12 graduation song, along with Living End's Prisoner of Society. And Baby, When the Lights Go Out still brings back memories of being unable to sleep as a kid and playing it nonstop on Mix 106.5 because my parents believed a radio would fix my anxieties. To be fair, it wasn't half bad and a lot cheaper than a child psychologist. I also love a good hamopod. And I would have stayed and watched this spot at your show, Will, but it was a school night for my partner, so we had to go home. Thanks, fellas. I started listening to you guys when I began my nursing degree. No zoologist, but gets a round of applause. We love a medical professional on this show and continue to listen to this day. So thank you for keeping me laughing while I'm keeping them living.
By the way, Will needs a bypass, so could you please do it? Because at the moment, the only guy we've got is a zoologist.
He's good with bloody blind eels, but can't do anything about triple bypasses.
Keeps banging on about some unicorn.
All right, that is TOFOP for this week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson.
How long? Not long. Everyone relax.
This podcast is a TOFOP production.
Head to tofop.com for more.
Cool things for cool people.